If Wendell says it's all right, it must be all right. And we are super blessed to actually have Wendell in the sanctuary. I think his video might be off, but he is joining us today as well. Thank you, Wendell, for playing for us. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Let me just look at all y'all for a minute. Good morning, everyone. I saw Barbara fanning herself just like me. Morning, Glenn and Angie. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Spencer and Nita. Thank you, Black family. That was wonderful. Hi, Ken and Jennifer. Hi, Diane. Thanks, Fran. I like being in my office. I turned the desk around so y'all could see the pretty outside at least. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Larissa. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Rick. I love the smiles. If you smile at me, I'll probably say something. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Scissors. Did you ever play that game as a child? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And the kids have now upgraded to like rock, paper, scissors, Yoda or something, and that's the magic that upends the game. And I don't know. They seem to add characters, but the basic idea is rock, paper, scissors. The rock smashes the scissors. The paper covers the rock. The scissors cut the paper. There's something thrilling about playing this as a child. It's a simple game, and yet every hand gesture thrown out has power. It's a hasty game of strategy. You know, you'd have to read their face. Do they look like a rock? Do they look like a paper? Do they look like a scissors? And then there's that mini thrill of the smash, the cut, or the cover. And each represents something greater. Rock. Here's a rock. Here's a stone. Simple rock. This one is smooth, almost cool to the touch. Do you have a rock with you? You may have seen the announcement that went out this week. Ooh, I saw lots of thumbs up. That was amazing. Aw, thanks for sharing your stones. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Do you have one that you could grab close by? I would say a mug even counts as a rock. It's heavy. It's from the earth. This one is Clara Barton, Unitarian Clara Barton. So imagine for a moment, if we were gathered together in the sanctuary, there'd be an altar up in the front by the chancel with a display of rocks on a larger rock. Actually, many of the rocks are right there in front of the chalice from the chancel. When you came into the sanctuary, you'd be offered the opportunity of grabbing a stone or a rock and to bring it forward in our annual ritual of the stones of forgiveness. So let's imagine in our mind's eye for a moment sitting together in the sanctuary. Can we just do that for a moment, please? Imagine sitting, being together in the sanctuary. Feel the soft fabric of the chair beneath you. Feel the smooth floor below you. Feel the presence of our kin to your left and your right. In front of you, behind you, the warmth of bodies, people connected in community. Feel that rock, that stone in your hand. Hold on to it. This ritual of our stones of forgiveness, it's a part of honoring Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. It calls us to pause in this moment and reflect deeply on our actions. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold the search for truth and meaning as a free and responsible right, but it's also a privilege. A part of that search prompts us to go within, to conduct a fierce moral inventory that calls us to account when we fall short of our covenant with ourselves, our covenants with our family, our covenants with our community and our faith. C.S. Lewis reminds us that we all agree that forgiveness is a beautiful idea until we have to practice it. On Yom Kippur, the people are encouraged and expected to go and make amends, to offer forgiveness and to receive forgiveness, to become right and whole again, to return to covenant. Our covenant of right relations is a process that returns us to covenant. It's time to ask ourselves, were you short with a neighbor or a child or a friend? Ask for forgiveness. Did you forget an anniversary? Whew, ask for forgiveness. Did your intention to do something good and amazing and beautiful go horribly wrong and cause harm? Ask for forgiveness. Either within or to that person. You'll know if it's time to engage that person directly if the work is within first. Reverend Dr. King reminds us that we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. So feel that stone in your hand. That is the power of love in your hand. When you reflect on forgiveness, who comes to mind? Who is part of that story? What burns in your heart? What happened? It could have been 30 years or 30 years ago or 30 minutes ago. We have rock, we have paper, and we have scissors. So paper covers the rock. Paper covers the rock, and the power of ritual, of stones, of forgiveness is our ability to come forward while being held in community. If you've participated before, you know that feeling of moving towards the front of the sanctuary to the chancel to lay your stone of forgiveness down. We say, bring it to the altar of life. Lay your burden down here and receive forgiveness. And yet, how can we be held when we are so physically distant while remaining spiritually close? Paper covers rock. We're launching a new project, starting today, here and now, right with this moment to start, that we're calling Letters of Forgiveness. We're inviting you to put pen to paper, to write a letter of forgiveness for yourself. A letter to yourself, a person, a people, your family. Write in the letter as much as you need to cultivate that power to forgive that Dr. King talked about. Sometimes we need to ask for forgiveness. Sometimes we need to offer forgiveness. Maybe you want to have your stone in front of you while you're writing. This rock, this stone is a reminder of our ability to ask for forgiveness and also offer it. You're invited to write about both or either. Write about a long-lost love or an estranged loved one. Write to a challenging colleague or a neighbor. Write to God. Write to your future children. Write to your grandchildren. Where is forgiveness showing up with you? We're inviting you to write your letter, address it to UUCR with forgiveness somewhere on the envelope, and send it in. Mail it in, drop it off. And I swear to you, I swear an oath to you, no one will read your letter. No one will read your letter unless you directly address it to me and put my name somewhere on your letter, on the envelope on the outside. And don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to reflect on your letter. Perhaps you want to write it with your partner or spouse or your children or a friend. Anyone is invited to write a letter. You'll receive an email after worship today with all the details and more information. But please help us spread the word. We're going to collect these letters until December. That's 3 months, right? October, November, December, whatever day it is. What month is this? I know you know what I'm talking about. We will collect all the letters until December, and then we'll take them and we are going to set them ablaze. You heard me right. We are going to set them ablaze in a sacred fire on the winter solstice when the night is the longest and we are longing for the light again. So receive this as your invitation to write a letter between now and December and send it in so we can set them ablaze on the sacred fire on the winter solstice. But scissors cut paper. Scissors cut paper. Part of releasing your letter of forgiveness into the world is in order to be free, to be unburdened and come to a place of deep reckoning with your story, to cut the strings that hold us back, hold us in place. It's sort of like Gulliver's Travel. Do you remember those stories, Gulliver's Travels? Where Gulliver finds himself on the island of Lilliput, and the 6-inch tall inhabitants ensnare him and charge him with treason. But Gulliver is bound to the ground with no more than hundreds of teeny tiny little ropes. Teeny tiny little ropes. This is how we become immobilized within our spirits. It's not always those chains or heavy shackles of guilt and shame, pain and anguish that keeps us apart from wholeness. It's not always the weight of the world like Atlas bearing down. Sometimes it's hundreds of tiny ropes that over time become as strong as chains. As I wrote that last line, I was thinking of one of my favorite gospel songs. Now, break every chain, break every chain. There's power in the name of love to break every chain. There's power in the name of forgiveness to break every chain. So we take those scissors and chip away at these teeny tiny ropes to sever the connections in order to be free. Which brings me to the powerful ministry that took off in 2013 called the NAP Ministry. Find the NAP Bishop online. You'll thank me. Tricia Hersey is her name. She's a Chandler Seminary graduate, a student of liberation and womanist theology, a performance artist, a community organizer, and an activist. And as a Black woman, the NAP Bishop Tricia Hersey teaches us that rest is a form of resistance. Rest is a form of reparations. Hersey says that rest is critical because it's counterintuitive and counter-narrative to see slowing down, napping and rest as a key to our movement for liberation. But it is really so important because rest disrupts the cycle. It pushes back and allows space for healing, for invention, for imagination, for us to become more human. Rest. It's those scissors that snip away at those tiny ropes. And rest is not a privilege. Come on now. Rest is not a privilege. Rest is a right. Rest as resistance is an ethos, a dream space, a slowing down mentally, breathing, breathing, breathing. Hersey reminds us that we are not created to live in a cycle of fighting and grief. We are not created for scarcity and trauma. She asks us, please do not internalize that exhausting fight and constantly battle narrative. You can rest. Rest and slowing down is a political protest too. Hersey goes on to explain that it is also a racial and social justice issue as well. Sleep deprivation is a justice issue because it's been traced all the way back to slavery. Slavery was horrific. And the times during those times for Black people were human machines. And so the grind culture that continues to today to attempt to make us all human machines and not to see the divinity of who and what we really are. And so rest is disrupting that history. It's undoing that part of history. It's allowing us to connect with our deepest selves. Not resting is a form of self-sabotage. I'll say that again. Not resting is a form of self-sabotage. Really, we are finite beings with sparks of divinity, the spark of life burning within us. To not rest is to buy into that narrative, the pressures that we are not enough. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'm so tired," but they say it like it's a badge of honor? What do they want? A gold star for exhaustion? Self-sabotage as one is also not asking for help, isolating ourselves when we're hurt, saying yes to everything, putting our own needs on hold, watching too much news, procrastination, and trying to be perfect. Whew. Self-sabotage. Enough already. Beloveds, we offer up our prayers to the Spirit of life, that Spirit of life that begins in us and with us in order to build a more just world, in order to cultivate that peace, in order to teach and guide our children so they may live in a better world of tomorrow, in order to forgive. And that's not for the faint of heart, as Indira Gandhi reminds us that forgiveness is a virtue of the brave. So we rest in order to find the strength to forgive and to ask for forgiveness, to rest in order to take that pen to paper, which I pray you will take a moment to do, and to write boldly of forgiveness. We rest in order to hold the stone in our hands, reflecting deeply in that fierce moral inventory. We rest to find wholeness and peace, cutting away the tyranny of shoulds, ought to, and musts. We rest to draw closer to the God of understanding. We rest. We rest. I'd like to close. I'm running too long. I apologize, but not really. This is my warm invitation to you to receive the words from our co-moderator, Alandra Williams. They wrote, "We are worthy. We are worthy not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. We are worthy and whole just because. We are worthiness personified." And I'll share the full reading later. So rock, paper, scissors. May you take the time that you need. I see someone holding up a very large pair of scissors. That is absolutely glorious. That is the magic. That is live screen. May you find your spiritual scissors. May you write that letter of forgiveness as a spiritual practice. From this place of wholeness, we know who we are, and we are clear-eyed about how we are called to be in the world. So let us be free. Let us find rest. Let us find rest so we can come together to sing authentically our closing hymn, which Wendell put together. If you've ever seen Wendell is a force of nature. I hope he can join us in worship sometime in the sanctuary. This is Gloria Hallelujah. Is it time to sing, beloveds? It is time to sing. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.